Hello, everybody. It's Mike here. We're going to be looking at today bringing in some environment textures, and then we're going to um, be setting up a little bit of collision and things like that. I've created a JSON file for the props. That way we can also look at the sprite axes with the translucent settings. But in the meantime, to get us started, I've changed out the sprite that I originally intended with this project for water to a new one. This guy here. That way we've got 16 different variants of the different sections that we can then reuse. Now, it is the same tiles as the outside 5A from like the RPG Maker, and then I've also made an OBJ for the outside prop one for showcasing the distance, why you would use some of this as a non-tile version. Because you could still use it for tiling, but obviously it makes more sense for some things to be inside the editor as actual objects that you can interact with, especially like these crates, things like that, trees, so that way that you actually have the pivot where you want it to be, and things like that. All right, so to start us off, I am going to drag or go to the environments, right? So this project already has the character following along with Justin's normal tutorial, right? For the character setup, we are going to start by creating a folder. This will be tile sets, or no, we'll do tile. We'll just do tile. There. No, we'll just do outside. Outside. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to drag and drop these guys in here. Right, and then I'm going to right click these guys, and we're going to do apply paper 2D settings. While we're at it, we can also quickly do the asset actions, edit via property matrix, drag this back over here, look for filters, and set this to nearest. There we go. Perfect. Now that we got those here, right? I am also going to drag and drop this in here. Well, I don't need the JSON file, but I wanted the let's see here, frames. You can see that we've got it all these frames named and things like that. These will allow you to create blueprints with these sprites individually versus having them all split up, but we can still create a regular tile map for some of them, since some things like the trees, like for the outer edge of your map, would make more sense having a full block collision there. And then you could still use this tree for the side, and then obviously you would also have a few other things, but I digress. So now let's see here. Actually, we'll just do outside. I'll just make another folder, outside _B, right? And then we'll just move the frames in there. Didn't like that. Let's see here. Can we try that again? Move here. Move here. No. All right. So fine. How about? Yeah. Of course, it didn't move anything inside the frame. This is where I'm just going to manually have to move everything from there to the frames. And then we're going to have to fix up the redirectors and things like that. I should have made a folder first. Anyway, now we just right click, delete the old folder. And then I'll do the same for the frame folder. That way we got nice and clean. And then I can even delete the OBJ because I don't need it. Because I'll probably come back to the texture itself, but this time I actually have it there, right? Now, for these guys over here, in fact, actually, I should just do outside. We'll just say a underscore, or we'll say underscore a 5, right? And then I will leave that one there, and I'll create another folder for outside. Oops, caps lock's on. Outside. What did I call it? A1. Oh, I wanted to rename the folder. There we go. And then I'm just going to right click and fix up redirectors. There we go. All right. So I'm going to start with this one here. I'm going to right click, and now that we've done all the settings, in fact, actually, I'm just going to turn on texture filter really quickly. Let's see here. And then we'll just do a quick asset actions. Edit the property matrix. Filter, of course, we have multiple variables. I'll hit that. Looks like all the other ones are set to sprite already, especially since we use the JSON. But there we go. All right. So now I can create a tile set. All right. Now inside the tile set, we do have to change this to 48 by 48. Otherwise, it won't work. Right. And we'll do the same for this one as well. That's the texture setting. Sorry. Create sprite action tile set, and then we'll come over here. We'll do 48 by 48. There we go. And we'll eventually come back and make the other ones as well. And this one I will also create a tile set as well. And this is also 48 by 48. Just means we have more palettes. We'll come back and set up collision on the 1A first, right? Actually, yeah. All right, so right mouse button, dragging around. In fact, why is it not working? Let's see here. Drag that back up there. I just want this to be attached here. That way I can see this settings here, because for some reason it's not working. There, close the settings there. There we go. Sorry about that. Right, so obviously it doesn't interact, but at least now you can see where I'm mouse clicking. Right. There we go. All right. So now that we've got that, we want to actually come in here. I'm going to start with just the grass one. I'm only going to do one. Now, I'm not going to do collision for the main main thing itself, but we want to then make sure on polygons, right? We want to start from our left and then work our way to the right when we start putting down these dots, right? So I'm just left clicking as I add extra dots and enter to end. Now, left click and drag to select everything, and you just want to snap everything to the grid, and then just make sure your snapping's at like 1. That way, you basically have it snap 1 unit as well, like 1 pixel, right? Just to fix up a little bit of the collision there, right? We can also toggle on to see which ones we have collision on, right? So for like this guy here, I'd probably do something like left click here, or at least around here, go straight across again, and then just down and around, make like a bit of a diamond in a way, or a ruby, right? And then we'll again right click and drag, left click and drag, set everything on the back onto the grid, then just move everything to fit, right? Nice and easy. Let's see here. Let's start there, work our way from left to right first. Add an extra little section here, there, and enter. Select everything, pixel, perfect, and then drag this guy back. Works for me. All right. This one I can do a box collision, right? And then we just drag these guys back here so that it basically fits. Then we've got that one there set up. In fact, the easiest ones are those ones. Just add a box collision, right? Make sure that you move it away from the grass, since you want the player to be able to walk on it. All right. And then we'll do the same for here. Add a box. There. And then this one here as well. Add a box. Drag this guy up here closer to the rocks. Perfect. All right. So, and then I can add another polygon one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hit enter. Select everything. Snap onto grid first, and then I can play with it. Probably to actually do it this way, since I don't want the player walking on the rocks. There. Oh, I did that backwards. So in case you ever fudge up like this, you just come down here to the collision, hit reset, and then we add our polygon collision, right? And then we can just 1, 2, and then we'll start here. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Then over here, hit enter. There we go. And we'll snap those to the grids, fix this guy, and then if I need to play around with this, I can. I can always come back and do it. Shoot, did I do the... of course I did it wrong here. Just quickly fix that. So that one was right. That one's right. Just making sure I have the collision on the water part, not the grass part. Otherwise, my player won't be able to walk, right? And then we'll just add another collision here. Right to left first, and then work my way back. Just like that. And then we'll make sure that we select everything, snap it to the grid. There we go. Now, if you ever are editing your collision, right, or you wanted to come back and modify it afterwards, right, there is the refresh tile map. In fact, I'll purposely leave out the collision on a few of these, right, and then show you when we make a tile set, right, and then for these guys, right, I'll just add a box collision on the cliff. That makes the most sense. And then I will do the because this is the only other tiles that you would want to put this on is the edge for the rock, right, to prevent the player from walking off the cliff. Now, all the other ones, oops, try that again. Here, open this, there we go, show collision, right, add collision, there. I'll do the other parts afterwards, right, just to show you that we can refresh things, right. Depending on how you did it, right, you might do a little bit of collision on like the railing here, right, for like these bridges, depending on how you set things up. But the main point is that we got all that all set up now. gonna hop back to the environment folder, and we'll go to paper, and I want a tile map, right? And this can be BP, or not BP, TM world, right? Because I'm going to make this big world, right? And it obviously can then choose the different tile sets, right? Wait, and then you can also see that I have to make sure I set my tiles to the 48 by 48. Now, 4 pixels per unit, I'm going to do 0.49, as that gives me a lot better resolution with the texture sets that we are doing, right? So if I were to start over here, you can already see we get a nice there. I did a little bit of collision here. So now we definitely need a larger map. So I'm going to do, let's just do 100 by 100. No, we'll come back to this. We'll just do 20 by 20 to start us off, right? Now, as you can see, you'll have to do a little more setup for collision on this one, at least for the water and lava tiles. Now, flood fill, I'm just going to flood fill with like grass, right? You know, I can even swap over here, grab like one of these grasses if I found, you know, I didn't, something's wrong with that. Might have to look at that one, but ultimately it doesn't really matter what grass you pick, right? The main idea here is, right, if I wanted to draw these guys, I wouldn't draw them on here. This will be our like base ground or base layer, right? Base. And then I would I would turn off the collision. Like this layer doesn't need collision, right? So anything we draw on here, so sometimes you might need to draw something like water in case you want, so that means if I were to hop back here, right, and add the collision to this, right, I would only add collision to this, so that way it blocks the player from walking off the bridge that if you were to do it, right? Now, this would be where I would then create a new layer here, right, and this could be collision layer, right? So you hit F2, right, and you could be like, collision, you know, walls, right? And then this is where I would then make obviously my collision thickness like 100, right? And that way then I could then come along in here. Let's just say I wanted to, I don't want to fill, I just want to paint, right? I would paint these guys here like that. And, you know, back on the base, right? I could put in some, stairs, right? In fact, we'll just do this one like that. Do this guy here, that, right? Now, obviously, eventually I will want to have some collision on these guys, right? But that will be besides the point. And then I just come back here, grab this one, right, and this one, and let's grab this just to finish up all the way up here, just like that, right? I probably wouldn't put collision on the little nub, but again, it's up to you for what you want to do for your game, right? Type idea, and then I would, you know, something like this, there, oops, right. Let's just erase these guys really quick, right? And then we can place this here, right? And then we can then also, you know, swap over to our other tile here, right? Maybe I wanted some water, right? So let's just say, make a small little pond. We'll make a little river, actually. That one. I might come back here to my base and then just autofill with that one. And then for the top there, I will use the other grass, and then I'll fix that in a minute. Since apparently my grass is a little more lush. Up, undo. Go up here, make sure I'm on paint. Right, I could use the B tool and G key to actually go back and forth. Right, let's just actually do something like that. Then actually I'll go back to my base layer, or no, I'll stay on this layer. We'll purposely go to this one, and I will do something like that. There. Right, so we got ourselves a tile. Right, all right. We'll come back and finish playing around with this afterwards. Now, let's see here. I can also come over here really quick, go to my base, just quickly fix that. In fact, I could even go behind, not minus there. There. All right, we'll save this guy. All right, drag this guy in here, right? And then reset its position, set it to 270 since again, we need it to work with our characters. Then I'm going to purposely drag this up. I'm going to go up here, right? That way my players start. Actually, I'll move the player start. In fact, I should. Let's see here. I'm going to set my tiling to 50. There we go. That way I can then just keep this nice, easy there, right? Now, as you can see, we've got some collision here, right? We've got our post-processing effect still. Now, the only thing we're missing now is a plane. Actually, why am I searching? I just go to basic shapes, go to plane, drag that in here, reset its position, drag the scale to something ridiculous because we'll probably be making the world bigger or adding other tile maps. Oops, sure, just there. And then we want to make sure that we turn the visibility of this off, right? There we go. I hit save. Come here, grab this player start. And if I hit play, hey, there we go, right? I can walk there. I can't walk into the water, right? And then I can walk up here and very much like that. Obviously, I have to fix a few collisions, right? But I can do that there. Now, let's see here. Occasionally, you might get lines like that, right? So that is where we would then hop back over here, right click this guy and just create like a texture sheet conditions, right? That will basically add a little bit of padding between each frame, and then you'll notice now it's not as much, right? I might need to make one for my other one, but we'll pay attention to like the tiling and tearing. Now, so that solves that. Now, let's see here. So let's just say I wanted to update the collision on that one tile here, right? So then I would come over here, I would add my box collision, drag this guy like this. Oh, whoopsie. Make sure I turn this back to 1, snapping. And it doesn't need to be so precise. The character should be taking up a majority of the box anyway. And if you wanted true sprite, you would have them make, walk, one full block at a time. Let's add another polygon. So I'm just adding more box collisions, right? Before I get to like these guys, and then need to add like the polygon, right? So I'd probably start down in this corner. Actually, you can go backspace, to undo. I'll start up here. Work my way that way. Right, like that. And then select everything, polygon snap, and then see this guy needs to move one bit this way. This guy has to go one that way. Yeah, I can live with that. There we go. All right, so we'll add. I'm gonna just complete the circle here, and then we'll go from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops, I purposely messed that one up, but that's okay. All right, then we drag select. We do pixels, and then we do some snapping. One else looks all right. There we go. Add polygon. This one I'm going to purposely come out like that, just because. Enter. There we go. And then, yeah, backspace allows you to go back if you accidentally clicked something you weren't supposed to. There. Make sure that's nice and straight. That's good. Good. Perfect. I can live with that one. And we'll add another polygon. Add a polygon. Start again. Left. And there. And then I hit enter. Drag selection. Pixel snapping. Move these guys up. Make sure this guy's back nice and flat. There. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to hit save. Now, if I were to go back here, right, and actually look at our collision, right? So if you don't see collision, it's Alt-C on the keyboard, right? You see it down there. Right, so now you can see that it didn't update our maps. Now, the reason why is because I didn't come up here, actually, and hit the refresh maps. Right, now if I hit save, you'll notice now I have collision all the way around there, right? So now if I were to hit play, try walking around, that's perfect, right? So now our player can get stuck out there, right? All right, so, all right, now, we've got our water, we've got that, obviously, I didn't do the corner there yet, but that's okay. Last but least, we're going to take a quick look now. Let's just say I wanted, instead of painting on here, so if we go over here, right, and we go to the tiles, we go to this, right, let's just say if I were to paint this, right, on the collision / wall section, right, and, well, that might not be ideal, especially if I wanted to, come over here. We go to texture, the frames here. It's 48, but we come over here, right? You would have to, add like a partial collision here for the tile itself, right? Now, in our case, this one, I could literally just do a box and be like, I want this, right? But problem with this, in fact, we can even do add box collision here, right? Paint this guy like that. And, well, technically you wouldn't want collision there, but we got a bit of a problem, right? Because if I were to leave that there like that, right, and then we were to hit play, walk over here, right, it won't really work the way we intended, right? So obviously, right, make sure I refresh the map. Sorry, and then I can right click and say play from here. There we go. Right, so I blocked the player, but notice how obviously the player walks on it. Now, the problem is you would need another tile map, because again, you can see if I type in sort no, it's not in here. It would be over here, right? So I would select your tile map, you would do sort, right? And you would play with your sort order. Now, that's not quite right either, right? And well, technically you don't want to change your tile maps material, right? We want to leave it on masked unlit sprite material, right? Because this is like the base, right? The player should never be over rendered over the grass unless it's like you're on like the cliff and you're walking that way. Now, all right. Sorry. All right. So as we were looking at, right, the main idea is that it currently, we don't want to be playing with the sort order in our case, right? That's why I've gone ahead and already extracted all the sprites with that JSON, right? So now I can pick and choose, right? You know, if I wanted to find like that tree again, right? My 2x2 large tree, right? If I were to drag and drop this guy in here like this, right? Or make it a blueprint, I can. I would double click on this guy to open him up. We would edit collision, right? And then I would just drag and drop this collision down here to be something like this, right? Because that's probably where it would end, right? Something along those lines. I would save that, right? Now, this is a extracted sprite. You just find like the source image and so forth. Right now you could auto extract or go by grid, but because I wanted the tree as a whole, and well, he is technically like 96 by 96, right? It doesn't quite work out that way. Now obviously for all these things I actually need to come back here and actually select them all, because otherwise they won't. Oops, I didn't want to open it. I want to go back here, right? So everything's selected. We want to do asset actions, edit property matrix. We want the sprites. I want to change this to, so it's the same as the landscape, 0.48, right? And then now I can save. Now I'm going to come back here to the individual ones because we can change the pivot mode for these sprites, right? In our case, I'm going to go back to our tree since I opened it up here. I want it to be on the bottom center, right? The reason for that, and you'll see now when I actually come back here, right? I'm going to now drag this down here. And now, well, actually, now that I think about it, I should also do asset actions, and then I should do edit via property matrix. I want to see if we have the right here. This texture source, no. Alternative. Yeah, no, we can. Sprite. Default material. All right. Well, I'm gonna view where it is, grab our translucent unlit, right, and then come back to these guys, and I'm just going to slot this into the default material, so that way they all have that, right? Now the reason why is so that way now when I, instead of coming into the tile map, right, I'm over here, right, I just put this at 270, right? And if I were to play from here, right, play from here, right? So now, see, after a certain point, all right, our player eventually goes behind the object now. Oh, collision isn't quite, oh, right, I need to come back here to the tree, right? I need to make the collision, we'll set it to 200 for whatever reason. That way it's nice and thick, right? There we go. There, walk over here really quickly, right? We can't walk there, but you know, we can walk behind the tree, right? Which is how it should work. Now can quickly come over to your properties and look for translucent, right? Basically you're looking for the translucent sprite, settings down here, right? You're looking for the basically under engine rendering, you're looking for translucent sort axis, right? You want to make sure that it's set to sort axis along, and then because we're doing top down, you want the -1 over there, right? And then that will allow you to drag in trees that you can walk behind like that, you know. So if I wanted a sign or a crate, right? So let's just go back to, now that I've done all of that, I can go back to my frames, right? I could grab like this cacti maybe, or the hail bale. Yeah, let's open up the hail bale, right? We're gonna go edit collision, right? I don't want the back to be blocked there, but maybe something like that, right? And then I would then again set the collision to like 100, and then I could do the from bottom center, right? And then if I were to drag this guy in now, rotate him by 270, right? And then I just hit play, right? I can walk behind the, oh, if I left myself enough walk space, right? I can walk behind it, right? All right, so we definitely want to also hop back over here to the hail bay, right? Let's just say I don't like what I currently have. Again, you can go to collision. We can reset it. No. Let's see here. I want to collision. And it's there. There we go, right? If you were to open this up, you can hit the reset here. Add polygon. Just want to hit enter. Can I delete? Oh, I see. So you can delete the other ones, right? So this one is where you would literally delete everything manually, right? And then I could probably grab this guy. And then if I grab the circle, let's see here. Yeah. No, polygon works better. Alright, so I would, alright, so I'd probably start this. Enter, right, and then make sure I snap to grid. Can I, oh, alright, let's just try to make it even. Something along those lines, right? And then now if I were to play, right, it looks a little better for the player, right? You can tighten things up, right? So let's even say like the wood sign, right? You know, for your shop, right? So now if I come back over here, right, we just come back to our collision. Well, I'll put it to the, basically depending on where your pivot is will depend on how far up in the translucent thing it switches to view, like which character's on top. So I'm not gonna 270, right? I'm not gonna play with the collision really quickly. I'm just going to play from here, right, to show you, right? I walk, and then basically as soon as I pass like the area, the pivot point, that's where we start to kind of Z fight, right? But with that, you guys can make your own levels, right? I've split things up here for, you know, blueprinting and things like that. If you wanted to make like cool bridges, which would require a special blueprint type idea, you could. I've also got the ropes all split up and everything as well, right? So with that, you can make your own levels,